Hi everyone, this is Alex Hay, author of The Housekeepers. The Housekeepers is a historical heist set in London in 1905, and it tells the story of Mrs. King, the sharp-witted housekeeper to one of Mayfair's grandest mansions, who, on being unfairly dismissed from her post, recruits an eccentric band of fellow servants to carry out the most audacious robbery high society has ever seen. It's a story of big hats, big houses, bad men, brilliant women, and if you think Ocean's 11 meets Upstairs Downstairs, then there you have it. I was longing to write a heist novel because I'd been itching to play with that structure, and I'd been dying to write a novel set in the early 1900s because all that glamour, grit, and corruption underneath the gloss are such rich ingredients for a writer. So writing this book was really all about gluing those two components together. And once I closed my eyes and began picturing this cast sidling out from behind the green baize door underneath the stairs, I knew it was just going to be the most enormous fun to write. And I hope to read. So I've been pondering the inspiration for The Housekeepers, and to be honest, it's the most impossible question because so many books, plays, films over the years have inspired me. I almost don't know where to begin. As a child, I loved books like The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis and The Princess and the Goblin by George MacDonald, and E. Nesbit is wonderful, adored The Story of the Amulet. And I think, to be honest, I do still hold some of those moody, glimmering, shimmering images in my mind today, and I can see them weaving their way into my work. In terms of contemporary novelists, I adore Kate Atkinson. I think A.J. Pearce is absolutely wonderful, and I am a forever fan of the genius that was Ruth Rendell, who has, I think, an almost unmatched body of work. I hope readers opening The Housekeepers will get to scrunch up and settle in for some deliciously decadent Edwardian gloss and enjoy gathering a team of brilliant and sometimes quite eccentric women and take delight in all the helter-skelter turns of a heist plot, and of course take satisfaction in seeing people strive to get their just desserts in life. Plus, there are plenty of big hats and bigger houses, so what's not to love? The Housekeepers is a book about a robbery, so first things first, I had to be absolutely clear what my gang were trying to steal. And to do that, I pulled some brilliant archive editions of the Illustrated London News, which contain delicious, in-depth descriptions of mansions on Park Lane. I love books about the period, so it was a joy answering questions like, what did the furniture look like? What types of paintings were hanging on the walls? How thick were the carpets? What about the doors? Of course, I referred to lots of old household guides to check details about the servants' routines and to find menus for some of the sumptuous feasts in the book. A really big discovery was just how many of these extraordinary houses have been lost to bombing or redevelopment. You can see the ghosts of them sometimes on the corner of one or two of the great London squares, but many of the rest exist only in sepia photographs and archive accounts. Who wouldn't want to choose the 1900s to set a heist novel? They were such an interesting, enterprising time. You've got all the period detail of a world that's been totally lost to us today, and yet you've got these sudden, quite startling flashes of modernity which have been captured in all sorts of early film and a huge amount of street photography. People, often women, running, driving, working, testing new technologies. You've got new money competing with old, fortunes rising and falling, all sorts of delicious ingredients to play with when you're putting together your rackety heist. If I could cast one actor to be in the film of The Housekeepers, now who would I choose? Truthfully, this was a question in my mind, and if I'm honest, to play Mrs. King, our cool-headed, sharp-witted, utterly powerful protagonist, I always thought Tandy Newton would be perfect. If you ask me to describe The Housekeepers in 3 words, I'd go for helter-skelter historical heist.